Let yourself be still now. There is nothing left for you to do tonight. The day is behind you, finished, however it went, and none of it needs you anymore. You can set it down. You can let your shoulders grow heavy, and your hands grow soft, and your breath grow slow and deep and quiet, like the long, warm tide drawing back from a wide, pale shore. Listen, the stories I am going to tell you tonight are very old and very gentle, and they ask nothing of you but that you rest. You do not need to remember them. You do not need to follow every word. The words are only a soft road for you to walk down until you fall asleep. And you are welcome to fall asleep at any time. Whenever your mind drifts, let it drift. Whenever your thoughts wander away from my voice, let them wander out across the water and not come back. That is exactly what is meant to happen here. Tonight we go out across the sea. Not the cold gray sea of storms, but the great warm blue sea of the islands, the wide and patient ocean that the old people called a road, and a mother, and a home. Imagine that sea for a moment, the way you might imagine it from the deck of a slow canoe at dusk. The water is warm and dark and gently moving. The sky above it is deepening from gold into violet, into the soft blue of coming night. Far off, low on the water, the green shapes of islands rest like sleeping creatures, their peaks soft with cloud, their shores edged with the white lace of easy waves. And on those islands and across that sea, the old people told stories of one who walked among them long ago. Not a god exactly, and not quite a man, something in between, half of the sky and half of the shore. They called him a demigod, a hero born to a mortal mother and a more than mortal line, and his name was Maui. He was the youngest of many brothers, small and clever and full of mischief. And yet, it was Maui, the little one, the last born, who did the great calm deeds that shaped the world the islanders lived in. Tonight I will tell you some of those deeds. How he slowed the racing sun so that the days grew long and gentle. How he fished whole islands up out of the deep sea. How he carried fire from its hidden keeper and gave it, warm and kind, to all the people. These are not loud stories of battle. They are slow stories of a clever, patient hero doing one quiet, enormous thing at a time and then resting the way you are resting now. So let the sea rock you. Let the canoe of the night carry you. You do not have to paddle. You do not have to steer. You only have to lie back in the warm dark and let the long swell lift you and set you down. Lift you and set you down, while the old stories drift up out of the water one by one, and you slip gently toward sleep. Before any of the great deeds, there was only a small child, and a long shore, and the wide, forgiving sea. The old people told that Maui was the youngest of a family of brothers, born last and born small, and that his coming into the world was itself a strange and gentle thing. They said his mother, walking by the shore in the early days, wrapped the tiny last-born child in a knot of her own hair and gave him, trustingly, to the sea, the way you might give something precious back to the one great keeper of all things. And the sea did not take him down. The warm water held him, and the soft kelp cradled him, and the long swell rocked him, and he did not sink, and he did not drown. He floated, small and sleeping, on the breathing chest of the ocean, while the gulls turned slow circles overhead, and the sun moved gently across the sky. Stay with that picture a while, because it is the heart of everything that follows. A tiny child, given to the sea and held by it, not lost, not afraid, simply held and rocked and kept warm and safe upon the water that would one day be his road and his great workplace. The sea knew him from the very beginning. It cradled him before he could so much as lift his head, and some old tellers said that was why, all his life, the ocean answered Maui, the way deep water answers one. It has known a long time. He was carried at last to a far gentle shore, and there, the tellers said, an old one of the sky people found him, and warmed him, and raised him, and taught him the hidden ways of things. The old one taught him patience, which is the first and quietest of all powers. The old one taught him how the winds turned and how the tides breathed and how the stars wheeled overhead in their slow, certain order, so that a person who watched them could always find the way home. And the old one taught him cleverness, the gift of looking at a hard thing and turning it over slowly in the mind until a gentle solution came clear. The way the answer to a knot comes clear if you do not pull at it, but only study it and ease it loose. So Maui grew. He was never the biggest. His brothers were taller and stronger and quicker to anger, and they did not always know what to make of this small last-born one who watched everything and said little and smiled to himself as though he knew a soft secret. But Maui did not mind being small. He had learned, lying on the chest of the sea, that the world holds even the smallest of things, and that you do not need to be large to do a large and gentle deed. You need only to be patient and clever and unafraid and willing to do one quiet, enormous thing at a time. And in time, he came back across the water to the islands of his brothers, the green islands resting on the blue, and he looked at the world the people lived in, and he saw, here and there, small things that troubled them, the days that were too short, the dark that came too soon, the cold meals eaten raw because there was no warm flame to cook them by, and the small, clever last-born one, who had been rocked by the sea and taught by the sky, looked at those troubles and turned them over slowly in his mind and began, gently, to think how he might set them right. Let that warm you as you settle deeper now. There is a hero in the old stories who was small and last and given to the sea and held. Whatever feels small or last or uncertain in you tonight, let it be held the same way. You do not have to be large to be carried. The sea cradled Maui, and the night cradles you, and there is nothing you need to do but float. Now I will tell you of the first of Maui's great calm deeds, the slowing of the sun. And it begins with a small and ordinary trouble that the people had simply grown used to. In those early days, the old tellers said, the sun did not cross the sky the way it does now. It did not amble and linger and take its slow gold time. In those days, the sun was young and reckless and far too quick. It would leap up over the eastern water in the morning, race headlong across the sky as though something were chasing it, and plunge down into the western sea before anyone had finished the work of the day. The light came, and almost at once the light was gone, and the long dark came down again over the islands. Feel how that would be. The people would rise in the thin gray dawn and go out to their gardens and their fishing and their weaving. And barely would they have begun before the sun was already high, and barely high before it was already falling, and the shadows would stretch long, and the cool of evening would come creeping up the valleys, while half the work still lay undone. The taro was not tended. The nets were not finished. The fruit was not gathered. The food set out to dry in the sun had no time to dry before the dark came and the damp came with it. The people did everything in haste, always hurrying, always behind, always watching that quick, bright sun race them to the edge of the sky. And when Maui watched the people hurry, and it troubled his gentle heart. He saw his own mother bent over her work in the brief light, her hands flying, trying to finish before the dark, and never quite finishing, day after short gray day. And he thought slowly, the way he thought about all things. It does not have to be so. The trouble is not the people. The people work as hard as anyone could. The trouble is the sun. The sun goes too fast. And what goes too fast, perhaps, can be gently slowed. It was a strange thought, even for Maui. The sun was vast and bright and fierce, a thing that lived in the high sky and answered to no one. To think of slowing it was like thinking of slowing the wind, or talking the tide into resting a while longer on the sand. But Maui had been rocked by the sea and taught by the sky, and he had learned that even vast things move by certain ways, and that a vast thing moving by a certain way can be met and held and gently persuaded, if only one is patient enough and clever enough and unafraid. So he began to watch the sun, not with anger and not with any wish to harm it, for Maui never wished to harm anything, not even the reckless sun. He only watched, the way the Old One had taught him, to learn the sun's ways. He saw where it climbed up out of the eastern sea each dawn. He saw the very pit, the great dark hollow at the rim of the world, out of which the sun came leaping every morning to begin its headlong race. And slowly, watching, a soft plan formed in his clever mind. If he could be there at the lip of that pit before the sun rose, if he could lay a gentle snare across the place where it climbed out, then perhaps, just perhaps, he could catch the racing sun as it came and hold it, only long enough to ask it kindly to slow down. Let the easiness of that intention settle over you. He did not mean to fight the sun. He did not mean to break it or to put it out. He meant only to slow it so that the light would last, so that the days would be long and gentle and unhurried, so that his mother and all the people could do their work in peace and never have to race the falling dark again. It was a kind plan, born of watching someone he loved grow tired. And tomorrow, before the dawn, the small, clever last-born one would set out to bring it gently about. So Maui made ready for the great calm work of slowing the sun, and even his readying was patient and slow. First, he needed something strong enough to hold the sun. An ordinary cord would never do. So he gathered, the old teller said, the strongest and softest fiber the islands knew, and he sat down by the shore, and he began to plait. He plaited long ropes, thick and supple and strong, working the strands over and under, the way you might let a single quiet motion repeat until your hands know it without you. He took his time. There was no hurry in the plaiting, only the long, calm pleasure of making something well. And when the ropes were finished, they were strong enough, the teller said, to hold even the sun, and he coiled them and shouldered them and went, in the deep of the night, toward the great pit at the rim of the world where the sun came up. His brothers came with him in some of the old tellings, for even Maui did not do every deed alone. They traveled by night, while the reckless sun was down in the western deep, and they came at last to the wide, dark hollow in the east, the very birthplace of the morning, and there they waited. Maui set his strong plaited ropes across the lip of the pit, looping them into a great soft snare. a wide, gentle noose laid open across the place where the sun would climb. And then he and his brothers crouched down in the dark to one side, holding the loose ends of the ropes, and they waited for the dawn. Picture that long, quiet waiting in the dark before the light, the stars wheeling slowly overhead, the same patient stars the old one had taught him. The cool air, the deep hush, the great empty pit before them, dark and still, holding the morning that had not yet come. And Maui, calm and unafraid, crouched in the dark with the strong ropes in his hands, waiting for the most certain thing in all the world, the rising of the sun, which had risen every morning since mornings began, and would rise again now, straight up out of the pit and straight into his gentle, waiting snare. And then, far down in the dark hollow, the first faint glow, the sun stirring, beginning to climb, the dark thinned to gray, and the gray warmed to gold, and up out of the pit, quick and bright and reckless as ever, came the racing sun, rising to begin its headlong dash across the sky. But this morning, as it rose straight up into the soft, wide loop of Maui's snare, and Maui, calm and ready, drew the ropes tight. The snare closed gently around the sun, and the sun, caught, halted in its leap, held fast at the very lip of the world, unable to race away. The old teller said it struggled, at first, as a thing will when it is suddenly stopped, pulling against the ropes, trying to tear free and rush on. But the ropes were strong, the long, patient ropes that Maui had plaited by the shore, and they held. And Maui held, and the sun could not get loose. Now here is the gentlest part, the part to sink into. Maui did not hurt the sun. He had it caught, helpless, held fast in his strong snare, and he could have done it any harm he wished, and he did none. He only held it firmly and kindly and spoke to it. He spoke to the sun the way you might speak to a child who has been running too fast and has tired everyone out, not with anger, but with a calm and patient love. You go too quickly, he told the sun. You race across the sky, and the people cannot finish their work, and they hurry and grow weary, and the days are too short for living in. I will not harm you, but I will not let you go until you promise to go slowly. Cross the sky gently from now on. Take your long gold time. Let the days be long, so the people can live their lives in peace. And the sun, caught and held and spoken to so kindly, grew calm in the snare and ceased its struggling. And at last it agreed. It promised Maui that it would go slowly across the sky from that day on. And so, gently, Maui loosened the ropes and let the sun go free. And the sun rose up out of the pit and began to cross the sky, but slowly, now, slowly, ambling and lingering and taking its long gold time, just as it had promised. And so it has crossed ever since. Feel what that gave the world. From that morning on, the days were long. The sun rose and climbed without hurry, and stood high and warm and gentle for hour upon unhurried hour, and sank slowly into the west in a long spreading glow. The people rose in a soft dawn and worked in an easy light and were never rushed again. The taro was tended, the nets were finished, the fruit was gathered. The food set out to dry had all the long warm day to dry in, and in the evening there was time. Time to sit, time to rest, time to watch the slow gold light leave the water, because the small, clever last-born one had snared the racing sun and asked it, kindly, to slow down. Let that long, slow light fall over you now. The days do not have to be raced. The sun, in this old story, learned to take its time, and so may you. There is no hurry left in the world tonight. Maui slowed it for you long ago. The light will last. There is time, all the time you could want, to rest. Now I will tell you of the second of Maui's great calm deeds, the fishing up of the islands. And like the first, it begins with patience and with a journey out upon the sea. Maui loved to fish, the old tellers said, more than almost anything. He would go out in the canoe with his brothers, out across the wide blue water, and there was nothing he loved better than the long, quiet hours on the swell with a line in the deep. But his brothers, who were many and strong and quick, did not always want the small, last-born one along. He was clever, they grumbled, too clever, always full of strange ideas, and besides, they said, he never caught much. So they would slip away in the dark before dawn and paddle out without him, and leave Maui standing on the shore in the soft early light, watching their canoe grow small upon the water. But Maui was patient, and Maui was clever, and Maui had a secret he had made for himself, slowly and with great care, a fish hook unlike any other. The old tellers told that it was carved from a jawbone given to him by an ancestor, a sacred and powerful thing, and that he had worked it and shaped it and bound it and blessed it until it was a hook of great hidden strength, a hook that could catch not merely fish, but the very land beneath the sea. He kept it hidden, this great hook, wrapped and secret, and he waited for his chance to use it, and the chance came. One night, before his brothers slipped away, Maui hid himself in the bottom of their canoe, curled small under the woven mats, and lay still. And his brothers, not knowing he was there, paddled out in the dark, far out, farther than they had ever gone, out past their usual fishing grounds and into the deep open sea. And only when they were far, far from land, too far to turn back and put him off, did Maui rise up smiling from under the mats and greet them. His brothers grumbled, but there was nothing to be done now, and so they let him stay, and they fished. And the fishing that day was poor. The brothers let down their lines and waited and caught little and grew tired and cross. And at last, when they had nearly given up, Maui said quietly in his patient way, "Let me try." And he brought out at last his great secret hook, the sacred hook carved from the ancestor's bone. And his brothers stared at it, for they had never seen its like. He baited it, the old teller said, in a way that gave it power, and he bound his strongest line to it, the line he had plaited with his own patient hands, and he let the great hook down, down, down into the deep dark water, down past where any ordinary line had ever reached, down to the very floor of the sea. Picture that, the canoe resting on the wide swell, far out under the long, slow sun that Maui himself had taught to linger. The brothers quiet now, watching, and the great line going down and down into the blue dark, deeper than fish, deeper than the deepest reef, down to where the roots of the world lay sleeping on the floor of the ocean. Maui sat in the stern with the line in his strong, patient hands, and he felt it sink and at last go still. The great hook come to rest on the bottom of the sea, and then, gently, he began to wait, the way he always waited, calm and certain, for the deep to answer him. And the deep answered. Far down, the great hook caught, not on a fish, on something vast, something deep, something rooted in the very floor of the world. Maui felt the line go taut, felt a weight upon it, greater than any weight that had ever pulled on a fishing line before. And he knew, with a slow, sure gladness, that he had caught what he had come so far to catch. He had hooked the land beneath the sea. And now, gently, patiently, with all his quiet strength, he began to pull it up. So Maui began to draw up the land from the floor of the sea, and it was the longest and most patient pull of all his patient life. He braced himself in the canoe, the old teller said, and he took the great line in both hands, and he leaned back slowly with all his strength, and he began to haul. And the weight on the line was enormous, for it was the weight of the deep land itself, rooted in the floor of the ocean. The line went tight as a stretched vine. The canoe tilted and groaned, and Maui pulled and did not let go. He called to his brothers to paddle, to keep the canoe steady and strong against the great pull. And above all, he told them, the teller said, one quiet, stern thing: do not look back. Whatever you feel, whatever you hear, paddle on, and do not turn around, and do not look back at what is rising behind us out of the sea. For this was a deed of the deep and powerful kind, and it had its rules. And it could only come gently right if everyone held steady and trusted, and did not break the patient work by turning to look too soon. And so the brothers paddled, facing forward, and Maui hauled on the line, slowly, slowly, hand over hand, drawing the deep land up out of the dark. It was terribly heavy. The sweat ran down him. The line bit into his hands. But he did not hurry, and he did not strain past what was steady, for he had learned long ago that a great weight comes up not by violence, but by patience, by a slow and even pull that never slackens and never jerks, only draws and draws and draws. And behind the canoe, far down in the blue, the land began to rise. Up it came, out of the deep, slowly toward the light. And then, behind them, the surface of the sea began to stir and to swell and to break. And up out of the water, slowly, dripping, shining in the long gold sun, rose the land that Maui had hooked from the deep. A great shape breaking the surface, water streaming off it in shining sheets, rising and rising into the air. An island. He was fishing up an island, drawing a whole new land up out of the sea, and it rose behind the canoe like a great fish surfacing, vast and green and new. But the brothers, the old teller said, could not help themselves. The pull was so strange, and the sounds behind them so wonderful, the rush of water and the groan of the rising land, that one of them at last turned around to look. He looked back too soon, before the great land had fully and gently risen, before the patient work was done. And because he looked too soon, the teller said, the smooth rising of the land was broken. The new island, instead of coming up whole and level and even, was wrenched and torn as it rose, and where it had been smooth, it now buckled and broke into ridges and valleys, into steep peaks and deep gorges, all the rugged, broken country of the islands as we know them now. And so, the old people said with a gentle smile, that is why the islands are not flat. That is why they rise into sharp green peaks and fall into deep shadowed valleys. Why their mountains are steep, and their ridges are jagged, and their land is folded and wrinkled and wild. It is because a brother looked back too soon, while Maui was fishing the land up out of the sea, and the great smooth pull was broken, and the land came up rugged instead of level. The islands wear the mark of that one impatient glance to this very day. But do not let that trouble your rest, for it is a soft and forgiving ending. The land came up. Whether smooth or rugged, the islands rose, green and living, out of the deep blue sea. And there they stood, and there the people came to live. In the steep valleys and along the curved shores and beneath the sharp green peaks, Maui had fished up the land, drawn whole islands from the floor of the ocean by patience and a sacred hook and a slow, unceasing pull, and given the people a home. And if that home was a little wild, a little folded and steep, it was only the more beautiful for it. For there is no loveliness like the loveliness of steep green islands rising from a warm blue sea. Let that picture hold you now, soft and wide. The new land standing in the long gold light, water still shining off its peaks, the sea calm and blue all around it. A whole world fished gently up from the deep by a small, patient hero, and given to the people to be their home. You are resting tonight on land that was drawn from the sea by patience. Let that patience be in you too. The great things come up slowly, by a steady pull that never lets go. You do not have to halt tonight. The islands are already up. You may simply rest upon them. Now I will tell you of the third of Maui's great calm deeds, the bringing of fire, and it begins, as the others did, with a small trouble in the lives of the people he loved. In those days, the old teller said, the people had no fire of their own, or rather, they had fire only sometimes and could not keep it, and did not know where it truly came from or how to call it back when it went out. And so, often, their hearths were cold. They ate their food raw, or only warmed a little in the sun. They shivered through the cool nights with no warm flame to gather around. The dark came down, the long, gentle dark of the slowed sun, and there was no small, bright glow on the shore to push it back, no circle of warm light for the families to sit within and tell their stories. Maui watched the people shiver in the cool dark, and once again, it troubled his gentle heart. He thought of how it would be to have fire always, fire that could be kept and carried and rekindled whenever it was wanted, food cooked warm and good, the cold nights made cozy, a bright circle of light on every shore, and the people gathered safe and warm within it, telling their tales while the soft dark pressed kindly all around. It was a good thing to wish for the people, and so, in his slow, clever way, Maui set himself to find out where fire truly came from and to bring it home. The old tellers said that fire, in those days, was kept by a great ancestress, a powerful old one who lived far off in a hidden place, and who held the secret of the flame. Her name in many of the tellings was Mahuika, and the fire lived in her very fingers, the tellers said, for she carried a flame in each of her nails. And from those flaming nails all fire came. She was old and strong and a little fearsome, but she was kin to Maui, an ancestress of his own line, and so he was not afraid to go to her. He set out, alone this time, on the long, quiet journey to the place where fire was kept. He traveled far, the old teller said, through the deep places of the world, until he came at last to the dwelling of the old firekeeper. And there she was, vast and ancient and glowing softly in the dark, the keeper of all the flame there was. Maui greeted her with respect, as one greets a powerful elder, and he asked her kindly for fire. He told her of the people, shivering in the cool dark with their cold hearths, eating their food raw, longing for warmth. And the old one, who was not unkind, looked at her young descendant and took pity. and agreed to give him fire to carry home. She drew one of her flaming nails, the teller said, and gave it to him, a single bright flame to carry back to the people. And Maui thanked her and took it and set off for home. And here is where the small, clever last-born one, who was, after all, a trickster, let his cleverness run a little ahead of his wisdom, in the way that even heroes sometimes do. For Maui was curious. He wanted to understand fire, to know where it truly came from, to learn its secret altogether and not just carry home one borrowed flame. And so, the old teller said with a soft and knowing smile, he did a foolish, curious thing. A little way along his road home, Maui stopped and looked at the single flame he carried, and his curious, clever mind began to turn. What if, he thought, I put this one out and go back and ask for another? Then I will see again where the fire comes from and learn a little more of its secret. So he quenched the flame in a stream and turned back and went again to the old firekeeper and told her his flame had gone out and asked innocently for another. And the old one, kind still, drew another flaming nail and gave it to him. And Maui took it and went off, and a little way along, his curiosity got the better of him once more. And again he quenched it, and again he went back, and again he asked, and again, and again. Time after time, the small trickster put out the fire and came back for more. And time after time, the patient old keeper gave him another flame from another of her nails, until at last the teller said she had given away nearly all the fire she carried, and she began to understand that her clever descendant was playing a game with her, and the old one, who was powerful and ancient and not to be trifled with, grew at last angry. She took the very last of her fire, all the flame that was left in her, and she flung it down, the teller said in her anger, and the fire leapt out across the world. It poured out over the ground. It ran through the forests and caught in the trees and raced across the land. And Maui, who had pushed his cleverness too far, suddenly found the whole world catching fire around him. The flames he had so wanted now leaping wild and free and dangerous on every side. He fled before them, and the fire chased him. And for a while, it seemed his curious trick had loosed a thing too great to master, fire running loose across the whole green world. But the story does not end in fear, for these stories never do, and the danger, as always, passes quickly into peace. Maui called, the old teller said, for the rains to come, and the rains came, the great soft healing rains, and they fell upon the racing fire and quenched it, and put it out across the land until the wild flames sank and died, and the world grew calm and wet and safe again. The fire that had run loose was tamed, the danger was past, and the rains drew back, and the sun, the slow gold sun, came out again over a washed and quiet world. But here is the gift hidden inside the trouble, the gentle gift that all of Maui's cleverness had been reaching for without quite knowing it. When the wildfire was quenched, it did not vanish utterly from the world. The old firekeeper, in flinging her last flames into the forest, had cast some of that fire into the wood of certain trees, and there it stayed, sleeping, hidden in the dry heart of the wood, and the trees kept it. From that day on, the fire lived quietly inside the wood of the world, waiting to be woken, and so the people learned, the teller said, the gentlest secret of all. They learned that if you take a dry stick and rub it patiently against the dry wood of one of those trees, rubbing and rubbing with a slow and steady motion, The old sleeping fire wakes. A little warmth comes first, and then a little smoke, and then, at last, a small glowing ember, a tiny coal of the ancient flame, born again from the heart of the wood. And from that small ember, gently coaxed, a fire could be kindled any time it was wanted, on any shore, forever. The people no longer had to go begging to the keeper of the flame. They carried the secret of fire in their own patient hands now, hidden in every dry stick, waiting in every tree. So in the end, Maui's curious trick, for all its foolishness, gave the people the greatest gift of all. Not a single borrowed flame, but fire itself, fire forever. Fire sleeping in the wood and ready to be woken whenever the people needed warmth. From that day on, no hearth had to stay cold. The families gathered each evening around their own bright fires, warm in the cool dark, their food cooked good and warm, their stories told in a circle of soft light, and the long, gentle nights of the slowed sun were no longer cold but cozy. And it was all because a small, clever, last-born one had been curious enough, and patient enough, and loving enough to wonder where the fire came from, and to bring it home. Let that warmth gather around you now, the warmth of a fire kindled and kept. The cold is pushed back, the dark is friendly. There is a soft glow on the shore of the night, and you are sitting within its gentle circle, warm and safe and held. Maui brought you this fire long ago. You may rest beside it. So those were some of the deeds of Maui. And now the night draws them all together and lets them rest. Think of how much that small, clever last-born one did for the people he loved, and how quietly and how patiently. He was given to the sea as a tiny child, and the sea held him and cradled him and rocked him safe. He grew and learned patience from the old one, and cleverness, and how to read the stars and the tides. He looked at the world the people lived in, and where he saw a small trouble, he turned it gently over in his mind until a kind answer came. The days were too short, so he snared the racing sun and asked it, kindly, to slow down, and made the days long and gentle forever. The people had no home, so he let his sacred hook down to the floor of the sea and drew whole green islands up out of the deep by patience and a steady pull. The hearths were cold, so he carried fire home from its ancient keeper and gave the people the secret of the flame that sleeps in the wood, so that no night need ever be cold again. And between the great deeds, the tellers said, Maui rested. He went out in his canoe on the long, calm sea that had cradled him as a child, and he lay back, and he let the warm swell lift him and set him down, lift him and set him down. Under the slow gold sun, he himself had taught to linger. He did not hurry from one deed to the next. He did one quiet, enormous thing, and then he rested and floated and let the sea hold him until it was time, gently, for the next. That was the whole shape of his life. Patient work and patient rest, and the warm, wide ocean holding him through both. There is a soft teaching folded into all of this, and you do not have to hold it, only let it warm you as you drift. It is that the great calm deeds are done one at a time, slowly, by patience and not by hurry. Maui did not slow the sun and fish up the islands and bring the fire all in a single rushing day. He did one and rested and did the next and rested and did the next, and that was enough. And the world was made gentle and warm and home. You do not have to do everything tonight. You do not have to do anything tonight. The deeds that are yours to do will come, one at a time, slowly, in their own long gold light, and between them there will be rest, and the wide, warm sea to hold you. Tonight is one of the times of rest. Let it be only that. So let yourself float now, the way Maui floated between his deeds. Let the warm swell lift you and set you down. The sun is slowed and gone gently into the west. The long day is over, and there is no more work to race. The islands are fished up and standing green and safe in the warm sea, and you are resting upon them, held by land that was drawn from the deep by patience. The fire is kindled on the shore, a soft glow in the friendly dark, warming you, keeping the night cozy and kind. And all around, the long, calm sea breathes slowly in the dark, the same sea that cradled the small, last-born child, rocking now and holding and asking nothing of you at all. There is nothing left for you to do. The sun is slowed. The islands are raised. The fire is brought home. Every great gentle deed is finished long ago, and all of them are resting, and so now may you. Let my voice grow faint. Let the words blur into the sound of the sea. Let the warm swell lift you and set you down. Lift you and set you down and carry you out, slow and deep and gentle, past the last thin edge of waking, into the warm dark water where everything is held. Sleep now. The sea has you. The fire is warm. Good night.